Welcome back down to the plot. Today the frost has subsided, so we're going to take this apple tree and we're going to prune it, and we're going to go from this and it's going to end looking like this. So let's go back and look at the cuts and the reason why I've cut it in that way. So a little bit of history behind this apple tree. This was bought for me as a Father's Day present, but when it arrived the leading branch was broken, lots of the other branches were broken off. We wrote back to the company that supplied it, and fair play to them, they just gave us a full refund, but we put it in the ground anyway, and it's been in for about 9 months now, growing, but now it's time to give it a good prune because we want to try and get this into the shape that we want. So let's start with the first bit. Let's go through. First step is to look for any dead and dying wood, and we'll chop that out. This leader at the top here is where one part of it broke, so we're going to take that out. Okay, so this tree, I want it to start, we use this bed down here for growing stuff in, and at the moment it's got some tulip bulbs in there, so I don't want this apple tree to sort of start its branches any lower than this. So first job we're going to do is we're going to take out all these lower branches. This one's coming out too level, so we'll take that one out. Okay, now let's have a step back and have a quick assess of it. So what we're going to try and do is kind of keep this to one leader and then branches coming off. So there's another one down there that needs to come off. This branch, so let me bring you in a bit closer. Okay, so this branch down here, broken up there, but it's got a bud sort of coming off here, but it's right underneath this strong one here, so it's a bit of cramping. We'll take that out. This one here is looking quite good. We don't want that going straight up, so we'll leave that. What we actually would do is just to say this is it's more of an art form than it is a science. So we've got two here. This looks quite strong, but this is more the sort of height where we want to go for. Take that little one off while we're doing it. So we're going to take this one off. That'll allow that one to grow on. There's a nice growing tip on the end of that. This little branch here, we're going to try and get in there and take off because that's just coming up through the middle. This one here, it's a nice branch coming out. There's a little bit of disease and dead wood there. But this one here is going upwards. That one's sort of not where we want it to go, but there's a nice bud here. So what we're going to do is take a 45-degree cut and take that off there. So I'm going to take a 45-degree cut so that all the water runs off and it's away from the bud so that the water doesn't go onto the bud. Okay, now we need to make a decision about these two. So what we want to do is just try and train this off a central leader. And obviously this is where the old leader was, and this has come up. We could try and splay that one out, but it's a little bit too close for my liking to the main one. So let's have a decision here as to which one we're going to keep as our central leader. And let's assess it round and have a look round from this way. And this way. I think this one here is the one that's the straightest and looks like it's the strongest, and this one's obviously cramping it in. So what we want to do is we want to maintain that branch because we want it to come around. So there is let's have a look. There is a couple of strong buds coming out from this side, which will send some branches out this way. So let's lose the top of that. Okay, this one here, crossing branch, is coming into the tree. So we can take that one off. Again, this one will come out this way, that will come out this way. That will come out, that's going straight up into the crown, so we'll take that one out. And then I suspect that this one here will keep as the new leader. But there's a quite nice branch that's a couple of buds there. So we'll take that one back to there. And There we go. So what we'll do is we'll keep those ones on there and see which ones develop. This one we don't want that to develop, so we'll knock that one off. This one will come out here, that one will come out there. And that looks quite a good job done. So that'll do us for the time being, and we'll see how that sprouts and how it does. Okay, there's a little tip on here with secateurs, and because I very often see people using secateurs wrongly. If you're going to use, cut trees and little branches, you need to use the bypass secateurs. That's because on here this blade bypasses this part here and gets a nice clean cut. But this chunky part here will crush the branch. So when you're cutting like that, you'll see that this flat, let's just see that, this flat part here is still going to crush the branch. So when you're using secateurs like this, make sure that the cutting blade, this cutting blade, is at the part where you want to keep. So if I want to keep this part of the tree, put the cutting blade on that side and you'll get a nice clean cut. As opposed to if you do it on this side, what you'll see is that that has temptation to actually crush this little part of the branch. So when you do it like that, this is the crushing part of the secateur. Turn your secateurs over and make sure you cut with the cutting blade closest to where you want it. So that's the apple tree trimmed down, and we shall see how it does in the coming year. Hopefully what we're aiming for here is this branch here, this one here to shoot off here and create a branch going off this way. We leave this leader in place because we might want to take branch off of here, branch off of here, there, and then hopefully these buds at the top here, and this will carry on the tree. Once it gets to about this height, we'll take out any top one, and then we'll try and create a sort of goblet shape. This is on a M26 rootstock. The reason that is because it's quite a small area. It's a dwarf rootstock. Its maximum height is about 2.5–3 meters, and it keeps it nice and contained. You can keep larger rootstocks smaller, but it's a lot more work, pruning, everything else. So we'll leave that, and if you want to check out how that comes back and how that grows in the coming season, hit the subscribe button and you'll get updates as I post them throughout the year. Thanks for joining me. Cheers.